Hey everyone, I'm AFriendlyTree and this is AFT's Dialogue. This is the series I've created to put different players in the fighting game community in the spotlight. Show people that have done things for the community or I just think are genuinely great people. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Delirious.
How's it going, guys? I'm Paul, aka Delirious, or Paulie as you might have referred to me as. How's it going? How's it going, Nick?
Very good, thank you, very good. I guess let's get right into it. So first off, can you
Sure.
tell me where you're from and when did you first start playing Tekken?
Oh boy, here we go, here we go, here we go. All right, so I'm from Melbourne, Australia. I've lived here all my life. I first started playing Tekken as a teenager. That's saying something for me. Uh, at my friend's house, it was Tekken 3, and what he had is like this four-way kind of thing that you could plug your controllers in. I totally forgot what it is because it's
The
like
multi-tap.
four play yeah.
I know the
Four
multi-tap.
PlayStation generations ago, yeah. And with that we were able to do sort of like a 2v2 on team battle.
Is
So I
that
started getting to learn um how to play the game through that, and it was like uh what was an example thing that we kind of put together? Skyrocket, it was definitely not just frame into Hwarang's unblockable down back 3+4. That was our one of our signature combos. And then
nice?
we we do things like use Yoshimitsu in survival mode, do the sit stance, forget what the technical term is for it, teleport to the other side of the CPU, and then do 4 forward, 3+4, 1+2, 3+4. And when you get hit in back turn like that, you're dead. So,
Yeah. I was gonna say, in like Tekken 3 and Tekken Tag, because characters had different health values. You're right. That string is called Shark Attack, and it could kill a character if you got the whole string. Whole string.
it was that was the only way we could set our highest records on survival, to be fair. But
That's
and
excellent.
you know, Yoshimitsu's 10 string was the easiest to do back then. 4 4 2 2 4 4 1 1 1 1, and that was like started to become exclusively used with Yoshimitsu in our games. And but
Very nice.
that was back in the matching days. That was when, you know, we'd still do the old 3 4 with Eddie. And I came from a
Yeah,
place with fighting games where I started off with Mortal Kombat on the Master System, so it had actually
nice.
progressed a while for me to get to Tekken. And this wasn't even when I was really playing Tekken.
So, what
Um,
would you consider really playing Tekken?
there's a slight story in the middle of it. Around Tekken 5, I
Hmm.
tried to get into it. I kind of played with a clicky group of friends. I could do combos with Asuka, Ling, Yoshi. Um, that game was savage when it came to execution. You know what I mean? Like if I go back and try to do Asuka's combo in that, it's just not gonna work out very well. So by
If you get
today's
your,
standards, it's very forgiving.
I'd say if you got your muscle memory back though, you'd pick it up again pretty fast. But so you'd say
Never underestimate these. Never overestimate these fingers. I swear. I swear. I reckon I'll do all right, but I know what you're saying.
we'll have to give it a go at some point. Okay, so do you think that you seriously started playing Tekken at about Tekken 5? And I mean,
No,
seriously playing is a very subjective
the real
term.
serious, yeah.
Yeah,
So the real serious is when I was at the arcades in 2012. Timeout Box Hill. Shout outs to the best arcade I've ever known. They brought in Tag 2 while I was playing with the Street Fighter 4 guys, Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition.
yep,
And I thought, wow, this looks amazing. You know, the graphics look good. I love this idea of swapping the characters in and out to complete your combos. I gotta try this game.
it was
And
very
at the
flashy.
time, it was. And there was Dion Gray back in the day, and Talons, aka JY, also playing. And I would just put in dollar after dollar and get mopped with, but I couldn't stop. I just really loved the look and feel of the game. And this is where we start talking about the technicality of when I started playing properly, because I suppose I would regard that point as when I started playing competitively,
Yeah, yeah.
playing properly.
You started
That's
getting coming across these big names and having to hold your own to try and win.
Oh, no, 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 I was not winning.
Try is the word there.
No, it's like, yeah, try. The challenge was fun. Sure, I sunk in dollar after dollar, but um, there's nothing interesting about beating down on people that you can already beat down on. Trying to find out how to beat these guys, well, it was a challenge that would not be completed, but you know, as I progressed in trying to beat them, I leveled up. So, I mean, here's one classic example. Back in, I don't know, was it 2014 or 2015 when Sodom had come down?
Okay.
Because I got to put the dollar in after dollar, right? I do not care about my rank. I do not care about losing points because it's going to happen anyways, right? But a respectable rank at the arcades was green rank, right? You hit brawler, respect.
Oh yeah, that was
Um,
just Oceania, like Australia and New Zealand. You didn't really have anyone above that rank at the arcades. You had maybe one or two people just because of our population.
you know what's funny? Dion and JY, they had somewhere around Dan 20. I don't even 20 Dan. I don't even remember what it was. But
Really?
when you got to the yellows, that means you're really strong. That was where the infamous guys, a lot of cheap guys, sort of got to. But green was respectable, and I had been demoted all the way back to one Dan. Okay,
Wow. Yep.
and I was playing Sodom at the arcades, and I managed to sort of, I don't know, keep my own to a certain degree. I'm not winning games, just keeping my own. And later on, I was sort of, feeling a bit about my rank, and he just seemed to hive mind with that and just said, "Hey, why you won that? You should at least be in the green ranks." And that just gave me the energy to keep going. You know what I mean? That just kept me going. So,
Yeah. This is no, it's relevant. Did you ever come across? Well, did you in Melbourne? Did you have the term card chickening?
oh hell
Like
yeah!
all the
Oh my
time.
god,
So
that
for people that
was
don't know, that's the term when you might have your card in and you've got your rank showing, and you have an opponent who has the same rank as you or close rank, and they'll deliberately decide not to use their card so that they're not risking losing their rank. Or they might
big
play you with one
disrespect.
game and then take their card away to keep versing you without affecting their rank and not giving you an opportunity to promote.
There were a few who were known for doing that. They didn't get very far. I think anybody who plays Tekken knows how that would make sense, right?
I mean, it's the same thing with online now, where if you're afraid of losing your rank, you're going to struggle to gain your rank unless, I guess, there are cheats involved.
Exactly, exactly, well, but and then what's the point if you're doing that anyways? There
Yeah,
was other things going on, like because we were all sort of going for the one machine. We only had one, and then maybe later a second machine.
yeah,
Everybody had to queue up. There were dollar queues that we placed on the actual arcade machine. So we kind of have there's like an unwritten code that you'd have your turn, and then um
yeah.
but me and maybe a couple of other people were sort of known for trying to sneak in another dollar when no one was kind of paying attention.
Just to look
But in my
behind you.
defense, in my defense, it's because my some of my games in those, you know, settings, they ended far too quick. It would actually get to the point where I'd say, mercy at the end of the third round. Let me have one more round. Let me get my dollar's worth. You know what I mean? And bless JY, he used to give it to me quite frequently, and I was completely outclassed, and he'd let me just, kill myself in every game. And then there was one time, uh, when after I got the mercy, I came back and I actually beat him,
Oh yeah.
and there's just the element of surprise kind of thing. I just did a whole bunch of unga bunga stuff, and it just worked out for me. But after that, if he never beat, if he gave me the mercy again, I would let him, you know, keep his credit because he gave it to me in the first place. I acknowledge. So there was a level of respect there.
Yep.
That I got so many arcade stories. We could go on forever.
Okay, speaking of which, maybe we should go on to something else. So,
Yeah.
your gamer tag, I mean, it's DHT delirious. Would you like to talk about that?
Mm.
How did you get that gamer tag?
Delirious. Well, when I first started at the arcades, I didn't know what kind of name to use. Like I'd sort of been done with older gamer tags that were no longer relevant to me. And I was kind of going with some sort of anonymous kind of tag, or I went with a tag called Johnny for a while, and then people started calling me Johnny and they got confused.
You could have been
Which is
another player in Oceania with a gamer tag that's a different name that's not yours. Wow, good to know.
Yeah, and it was actually quite funny because Jono would play Paul, and Paul was Johnny, and it was just a big mind mess. Anyways, so at the time, I had a health issue with excessive daytime sleepiness, so I had a sleep test, and then I got prescribed this stuff called modafinil, which is simply a wakeful agent. But when I first started taking it, I was awake for out of a period of 100 hours, 96 of those hours I was awake.
Wow,
And I literally became delirious.
I see.
And in that state, you know, you kind of sort of like talk goo goo gaga kind of stuff. You start mumbling to yourself and doing all this kind of stuff. And when I got called delirious, I'm like, I'm gonna rock this. The rest is history.
I like it. You earned the name and you took ownership of
Yeah.
it. Good on you. Good on
Yeah. You just got to rock what you got. You know what I mean? You just got to play your
Yeah.
cards.
you. Yeah. We'll talk a bit more about the DHT side of things soon, of course. But
Hmm.
I guess the next thing I want to ask is, I mean, you've kind of already gone over why you started playing Tekken, and you mentioned you played Mortal Kombat in the past. But what kind of things
Yeah.
draw you, or do you find draw other people you encounter to the series or to fighting games and Tekken?
Yeah. Uh. di- oh. I'll. Where do I submit my thesis on that one? You know what I mean? Like,
It's another
I
very
think.
subjective question because any answer is correct. So what do you in particular enjoy?
What do I particularly enjoy? I have to have some sort of what's the word? It has to look good. It has to look cool. It has to look fun. It
Aesthetically
has to look
pleasing or
aesthetically
exciting?
pleasing, yes, but not necessarily. When we're talking aesthetics, not necessarily like you know, your 3090 graphics level. You know what I mean? That's not important. It's gotta look good without being excessively. You know what I mean? Like you could make a SNES game look good.
Yeah,
Of course you can. It's just
Yeah.
the way it's been done. But it's not just that. It's the way it moves. Like I'm just thinking specifically of when I first saw Tag 2 and the way it presented itself. It hooked me in because it's not the aesthetic. It's the way.
the
I don't know how
flow,
to quite describe it.
the pace of the game, or
Yeah, exactly. It
it
just
sort of
looks like,
pulls you in.
oh wow, that happened. Oh, this happened, that happened, and it's like, it's not what that's what attracts you to the game. It's cool, it's fun, it's interesting.
Yeah,
It's like, it's well, you generally don't know how deep the game goes until you get into it, but I think what keeps you around is the community. It's like the community around that game, and oh, this is where we bring up the fact that I've got a degree in games. What?
a degree in what's it?
Um,
Degree in games.
games and interactivity. So that
Oh,
was
do
part
you?
of my double degree. Yeah.
Oh, very nice.
I studied a subject called interactive game structures, where they go on to teach you how to deconstruct a game. And what happens is the game takes place not just inside the game, but outside it as well in the real world, if that makes sense. So, you know, you don't just have the game inside your PC or console, whatever. You got the peripherals, you got the seats that you're in, you got the interactions between people, the culture of those interactions surrounding the game. It's almost like kind of extends into reality, if you know what I'm saying. So because there is a certain criteria there that satisfied what I was looking for, a good social experience, a pretty nice bunch of guys, that's what kept me going, kept me coming back. It's like, it's not just put in $1 and play the game. It's put in $1, play the game, then go later. At the time I was smoking, so I'd have a cigarette, talk with boys, kind of thing. That's big appeal.
Oh yeah, good answer. Very good answer. And I mean, you've sort of gone into the world outside of Tekken there, and you've explained that it's outside of Tekken that makes you enjoy Tekken as well. But what other things do you do outside of fighting games? What other interests do you have?
Wow, I think I was gonna say something along the lines of I was gonna give you a generic answer, right? Like,
I like generic answers. I also like answers that are way off on a tangent, so you can give me both if you want.
I am your guy for that job, 100%. But like any guy, I might enjoy a movie. I enjoy socializing. I think it's the abstraction in all of these activities that make it sort of make things enjoyable. Like when you go to the cinema, would you be happy to go by yourself? You know what I mean? Generally, if I'm going to the cinema, I'm going with friends, so there's a social component,
Yeah,
and that's
true.
something that it's really important to me to have that kind of interaction around a topic of interest. And then there's other things like, for instance, everything that I do is sort of got to do with problem solving, putting the pieces of the puzzle together to make something work.
Yeah,
I get a sort of, I don't know, your dopamine spike when you manage to sort of figure out how to do something. And I think so far Tekken is covering all those bases.
yep,
Um,
understood.
if we want to talk about what I actually do for fun, I go on dates with my wife. I'll cook her a meal or something like that. You know what I mean? Use the
Yeah,
balcony upstairs and something like that. I'd go for a stroll in a park or something, have a bit of nature, sort of get some fresh air, get some sunlight, that kind of thing. I do that quite a bit. I have a little bit of a collecting hobby as well. I collect 52 playing cards.
yeah, and you were
Uh,
telling me about that just before. That's I think that's a really cool thing to collect, actually.
can I quickly grab one?
Oh,
I'll just
absolutely,
grab. All right,
absolutely.
now we've opened up Pandora's box, right?
So I think it's a good hobby collecting things. It can be very enjoyable. Oh, that was quick.
Yeah.
I started
Well,
stalling, but you're back. Okay.
well, this is one collection of these
Oh
guys.
my.
These are actually got a bit of value in them.
Yeah.
So I store them in such a way that they can't sort of get damaged in time. That I don't actually take many of them out. Maybe I've got about 8 of them that I have out, and probably hundreds of packs, and some of them are quite valuable. For instance, this is the Planet series of cards. There you go.
Oh
I think
yeah.
they're coming through Saturn.
I
These
see.
are limited edition. So only 500 of these were sort of printed. I'm not sure if you can see that.
It's a bit
But
small, but I take your word for it.
yeah, look, it's there's a novelty in collecting. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
that's what's appeal. It's like, ooh, this is cool. Ooh, I want to have that. It's like maybe a little bit not vain, sort of materialistic. It doesn't have, because I'm all about functional, maybe not functional wealth. I think there's a word for it, utilitarianism.
Yeah. Okay.
So it kind of is counter to what I actually sort of like things.
But you don't have to be
Um,
100% directed toward one thing. Like, by all
no,
means,
of
you
course
can
not.
collect something.
And hobbies. Uh, it's hard to focus on hobbies at my age. All right, here's where we're going to go in on another slight tangent, which kind of explains where I'm coming from.
Okay.
So I don't know if anybody would be familiar with this. Have you heard of Maslow's hierarchy of
Maslow's
needs?
hierarchy. No, this is something new to me.
Okay, so it's sort of like an idea where everybody has like a pyramid of needs. At the bottom, you need your basic needs like food, shelter, all that kind of stuff. Then you go up the next level, you need like your loved ones around you, all that kind of stuff. Then as you get to the top, when all of those needs have been sort of met, you sort of start to look for a kind of like a mastery of yourself.
Okay.
You try to find the best version of yourself. That's how we all sort of work. If we've got the base needs met, then we try to be the best that we can be. So, because I've been highly invested in what I'm currently doing now with DHT, what I'm actually craving is a mastery of everything that I know and can do. It's sort of like what I'm doing requires like a jack of all trades wealth of knowledge, if that makes sense. But what I'm trying to get out of it is I want to see it sort of grow into something big. I want to perform.
Sure.
So it's hard to add when because I'm at this age now. This kind of is the main kind of thing in my life. So what ends up happening is I spend the majority of my time dedicated to it.
Yeah. So you're driven, like you say, you're trying to achieve like a level of mastery in this passion. Is that
I
right?
mean, like, yeah. So for instance, making logos, for instance, I'm getting better at doing that kind of thing. Dealing with your okay, get ready for the boring stuff. Dealing with your accounting, learning how to do your accounting better, learning how to set up your own systems, all these kind of things. They kind of replace the want for a more basic hobby, a more easygoing hobby, if that makes sense. And it starts to get to a point where there's no sort of clear cut point where work starts and leisure work ends and leisure starts. So it's all one over what's the word I'm after? It's all in the same package. Work I think that's it. Work and hobby is the same thing for me.
Yeah. So like
Doing
an
offlines, doing teching.
over-encompassing hobby
Over
passion.
encompassing, that's the word I wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On. Next, we're going to talk about your character. So I know there's a picture on the screen of who your character is, but I want you to say who is your main and why.
My main is Asuka Kazama. And
Asuka
the
Kazama.
reason why Asuka is my main is because in a sentence, it defaulted to her. So
Defaulted to her, did it?
it defaulted to her because she suited me the best for Tekken 7. So I seem to perform better with her. I seem to because I came from Tag 2 with Asuka Ling being my combination. And combination? Team?
Your
Whatever.
team. Yep. Asuka and Ling.
Yeah.
Yep, fair enough.
And Ling just wasn't cutting it for me when I started Tekken 7 in vanilla. The Tekken 7 vanilla at Jin's place and all that, I just get whap. So I stuck with Asuka because I had better performance and I just couldn't go back to Ling at all. And
Okay.
rest is history. I mean, something to do with reversals, back threes, cans.
I don't think
reputation.
I don't think anyone would disagree with the fact that like Ling has changed a lot from Tag 2 to Tekken 7. Asuka's changed a fair bit too, but it's more just been expanding on her character, if you get what I mean.
I didn't. I think the level that I was playing Ling at is not comparable enough to a proper competitive kind of gameplay.
Okay, sure.
Like, how do I explain that? All right, I'll simply explain it by telling you what I do. California roll into kangaroo kick. No punish. California roll into kangaroo kick until it works.
Well, if it works, it works. That's on your opponent.
Yeah, so... yeah, and that's it. My opponent shut me down pretty quickly if they know what's up. So,
Yeah.
you know, my resets would involve dropping the combo into another sidestep 3 with Ling, and it's just not effective at a higher level. And to be fair, it's not that I was at a particularly high level. I would say I'm not at a particularly high level now, but I think I'm definitely worthy of competing against.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
I'd agree. I'd definitely agree. But you used Asuka, so you used her in Tag 2. Did you use her before that? Because you mentioned like messing around in earlier Tekkens 2, and she was of course released in Tekken 5.
Yes. I think I had seen other people play Jun in Tekken 2, and I was like, oh yeah, she's got cool moves. She's got, you know, like the 1-1 3 kind of thing, the cans, she does cartwheels, that's easy. Down back 4 over and over again.
Yeah.
That's an easy way to win, and that's why you start picking characters like that. It's like,
Good old leg cutter.
I just realized that I picked Asuka for her spat.
So you weren't interested in Jun in Tekken Tag 2? Like you picked Asuka and Ling?
I did try to use Jun. My execution, sadly, is not up to scratch. So the level of execution required to do some of her moves was significantly higher for me.
Okay. Well, I don't know what your execution was like back then, but you seem pretty consistent with Asuka. Like,
Yeah, I think I even faced the same problems that some people face with Asuka's execution. Like, for instance, trying to start a rage drive in a certain situation. If you don't buffer the first forward at the right time, you'll only get forward 1+2, and it's going to get ugly.
yes, I understand that.
But yeah, I understand what you're saying. To be fair, Asuka at the same time has got her basic execution. It's got no requirements. It's as entry level as you can get. You know what I mean? And her toughest stuff is not necessarily required for you to perform that well.
No, fair enough. She does.
Yeah.
She does have some tricky stuff though. If you look
Like-
into it, but you're right. It's not like fundamental. It's not core to her gameplay.
So if you get a counter hit, full crouch down forward 2, instead of, you know, sidestepping and getting even the down forward 2, let alone, I'm pretty sure you can do it with forward 2 as well. It's not worth the consistency of my ability to do it is not worth the risk to try to get a similar amount of damage.
Yeah, well, because I know for a fact you can do this very easy for 60 damage.
Yeah, exactly.
The one you're talking about, this is me going to try and show off here.
Yeah.
No, see, it's pretty tough.
Yeah.
Very tough. I give up.
It's
Yep.
Yeah. It's and then even if you do that, what's the best combo you can get off a down forward to like approximately 60 damage or so anyways. You already hit something like that. So it's
Yep, fair enough. So it would be more damage, but the thing is, the risk of dropping it. Hey, there we go.
exactly.
And it's also range dependent.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Apparently, if you really want to try, do it with forward 2. No, don't. We're going to be here all day. Wait, am I going to egg you on by saying that?
Is it actually guaranteed that?
I'm sure I've seen it happen. I'm sure, but it's, you know, I haven't looked at it in a long time.
Because I know it says plus 25, but
well, yeah, I think
if it's plus 25, that would make that easy.
I feel like I remember Dion shared a video of a woman in Europe doing that 5 times in a row, the forward cancelling into the forward 2. So unless that was a complete meme, because I kept asking them, is this a meme? And they said no. You know what I'm trying to say here.
But if that worked, this would work, because you need a frame to crouch cancel. So the forward 2 at the fastest is 18, so I'm pretty sure it's not guaranteed here. Because if it was, that should work. I believe.
Yeah, so execution is not important to win with Asuka. Let's just put it that way.
Yep, gotcha. Okay, so I asked, you didn't really, well, you tried to use Jun, but you weren't really interested in her because she was different. She was more executionally demanding and not really related to your game plan.
It was at the time when I just didn't want to.
I have seen you play other characters in Tekken 7, and that makes me wonder if Asuka wasn't in Tekken 7. Would you still play? Would you pick another main, or would you... Like, I know you'd probably be around for the community, but would you still actively engage in playing the game and pick a new main and have as much passion?
I don't think I would stop playing at all. I just have to deal with it. It's sort of like... I'll deal with it when I'll cross that bridge when I come to it, is my sort of reaction to all of that, but... if I had to pick someone, I'd probably default to using Kazumi.
Fair enough. Hey,
probably default to that. Yeah.
Funny that you bring that up, because I need to relate to you for a little while. If you didn't know that when I first started playing Tekken in a competitive sense and learning frame data and everything, I originally started using Paul Phoenix, but I dropped him pretty quickly when I started learning the game properly, and I picked up Asuka as one of the new characters in Tekken 5. And for quite a while I was an Asuka main before I moved on to Lee, Christy, someone, Nina. But when Nina wasn't in Tekken 7, I thought, alright, well, I'm not going to drop the game, I still enjoy it, and I defaulted to Kazumi.
There you go.
Actually, I picked her up because there was no representation of Kazumi around at the time, but I was also kind of interested in
that helps as well.
Yeah.
I think the reason why I had Kazumi as a secondary was in trying to refine my fundamentals, and you can take Asuka away from the back 3 god or whatever. You can't take the back 3 god out of... That one's going to need to be cut and chopped.
That's okay. You can't take the back 3 out of the Asuka.
You can take Asuka away. Yeah, you can take Asuka away from me, but you can't take the Asuka out of me. You know what I mean?
There you go. I get you.
Yeah, so what do I start doing with Kazumi when I pick her up? Hey, what a cool setup! Down back 1+2 on block. Go straight into down forward 2. Yay!
Okay, this is the
perfect right there.
This is the perfect way to segue to what is your favorite move? What is your favorite move that Asuka has, I should say?
Oh, by what criteria? What looks cool? What?
You can give multiple answers here as well. I just want to hear your opinion on it. Your opinion on the character.
Alright, I have to default to back 3 being my favorite move. Simply because of the amount of salt it has generated since season 1, at least amongst, the people.
Yep.
That,
You time it very well. You place it perfectly.
It's a catch-all, but it's not just that. It just dumbs the game down for you. What's your opponent gonna do? A low? Crush it. What's your opponent gonna do? A high? Well, there's some evasion frames. They're gonna do a mid. You'll probably get juggled. You'll probably get floated rather. They're gonna step. Make sure you're stepping from a slight distance. What is it? There's different notations for ranges. Not ground zero. Ground zero is range.
Right, yeah, zero is right close up, 1 is one backdash away, so on and so forth.
Yeah, so we're looking at about range 1. You got to be stepping to your left. If you're stepping to your right, chances are you'll probably eat it anyway. So it's just brain dead. It's bloody hard to punish. This is the correct way to deal with back 1. Yeah.
The thing about this is people always say step right against Asuka. So this is...
there's a story with that. So the Master Jin himself Uh, he reckons when you play against Asuka, normally you step right, and I'm gonna start imitating his Samo-ish accent. But when you play Delirious, you have to step to the left because everything he throws out is exclusively steppable to the left, forward 2 and back 3.
I see.
I love that. I love that.
Personally, I'm a firm believer in not just stepping a single direction toward a character. Acknowledge they have a weakness, but look at what your opponent's doing. So
yeah, well,
you're a prime
takes
example
time
of
to
that.
build
Then.
up. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So that goes into the territory of learning how to observe things properly, remembering your opponent's what they default to in different situations, and
Yes, exactly.
that in itself is I'm nowhere near master at that, but I'm making movements in getting better at that myself. So
That's one of the greatest challenges in the game. I think more so than execution or anything. It's that situational awareness and that foundation that you can build on with character knowledge, opponent knowledge,
yes,
and then figuring out how it intertwines together for the match in real time.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so favorite
boy,
move, back 3, but you said on what grounds are you defining that? So do you have another favorite move of Asuka's you might want to list? It's alright if you don't.
Well, obviously forward 2.
Forward 2, yep. So people call this Tooth Fairy, but they also call it Demon Slayer.
Demon Slayer is the correct name.
Is it just Tooth Fairy because she hits them in the jaw? That's the reason
it
I
makes sense.
thought.
It might have been called Tooth Fairy in the past. I'm not too sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure about that actually, but yeah, Tooth Fairy. That makes 100% sense.
That's the only reasoning I could figure out for the name.
Here's the thing about forward 2, right? Okay, so it does have some evasion frames, which is absolutely brilliant. If you're in a situation where maybe I don't know, it's somewhere around a 0-0 frame situation, and your opponent wants to throw out jabs and you throw out forward 2, you're gonna win.
Yep. That's good.
And people think they've got you cornered. It's the last thing that they expect, and that's why it works. It's a big gamble. It is a big gamble. You should be using exclusively with punishes around range 2 or whatever. So
yeah, I mean, personally, I'd consider it one of the best whiff punishes in the game. I think
100%.
a lot of people agree with me on that. I don't think it's a radical thought or controversial opinion. So I agree with you there.
No need to wave dash in and do all that execution to get in and punish your opponent's whiff. You don't have to worry. You just press them together and you're done.
Yeah, Asuka has a lot of cancels, doesn't she?
Yeah, that is really helpful. Like back 1 is now cancelable as well. So
yeah,
that practically lands me a free while standing 4 against everyone who's not used to it yet.
Yep.
The other thing is, this is where we talk about execution again. Back 2 into 1+2 down.
Oh yeah, the cancel.
You know how you can cancel it? Yeah.
That's cool because
not,
it's forced crouch even on block.
Believe it or not, I struggle with the execution.
That's
Don't
alright.
judge me, people. But yeah, that would be a very, very good tool to have in her arsenal. The mind games that you can do off that. You can cancel her Snake Edge.
You can, can't you? I forgot about that.
Mm-hmm. That your opponent, if they're not ready for it, they're gonna try to automatically punish a block Snake Edge, which usually means that they're the ones who are gonna get punished for whatever they throw out afterwards.
You got that beautiful 2-3 if they do a hop kick or something.
Yeah, for instance.
As one example of what you can do.
Yeah. Well,
all right.
Depends what. Yeah.
I can't help but notice that the 2 moves you've picked are both launches.
Yep.
So, what would your favorite combo be? You can have more than one favorite combo.
Alright, I suppose specifically in an open area where you've got no walls. So you do 4 forward 4 as your launch, and then you do running 3.
Yeah.
And then you do down forward 1, 2, and then For wall carry, you could do either one of these two. It's kind of similar. Back 2, 4, 3, or 2, 1, 1 plus 2.
Okay.
That does about 73, I think.
So is it down forward 1 then 2, or is it down forward 1 2?
Down forward 1, down forward 1, 2. So there's a follow up.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
so it's kind of a slightly more damaging pickup than 1 plus 4 in its instead.
So. Oh, okay.
So yeah, so the time it's a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty tight. Hold on. That is tight. Is there a trick to it, or is it just the timing? The timing of doing it while running.
It's the timing. It might.
Do I do it instant, or do I do it delay it? Like I'm delaying it there.
Don't delay. I don't think you should. It's occurred to me why I might miss it sometimes. It could be possibly because you're up against a female character.
Okay, let's swap to a male. Let's swap to good old Brian.
Yeah, let's bash it, Brian.
Because I know a similar combo like this, but instead of the down forward 1 2, you do 1 plus 4.
Yeah, you can do that in its place. It's more reliable that way. What you're doing wrong. I think maybe
I could be a bit slow with that.
deeper dash.
Deeper dash?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, deeper dash. Okay.
Okay.
Oh. So that's one of them. Okay.
Yeah, and they equate to the same amount of damage for either one.
It's weird timing with that. I'm sure once you get used to it. Whoops, it's that. Sorry, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whoops. Yeah, it's weird to me, but
yeah, I think it's just the
There we go.
delay in the the running 3. Like you've got a deep dash. Yeah.
yeah.
That's it.
I think the like I said, if you do that, it's really
that's
consistent,
far more consistent.
but much less. Well,
How-
5 points less damage.
Slightly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it kind of
Yeah.
It
Not as
gets to a
star,
point
not as
where-
flashy.
that's it. Yeah.
So the delay. Okay. Any other combos you quite like? Any other combos you're fond of?
Oh well, everything's sort of bread and butter, and I get called out for using her season 2 combos a lot. So, so using down back 1 2 in her combos, you can follow up with back 4 2 3 at some stage.
Yep.
It's kind of like a little bit finicky for me.
I'm pretty sure
It's-
you could actually always end with that, but it was really hard.
It depends on how it's done, and it's almost like, I suppose in 2 years of organizing, there's a reason why I'm doing season 2 combos in season 4.
Fair enough.
So, so it's like I've never given it the attention that it needs, and it's kind of like I haven't really needed to, because the season 2 combos still work quite well, and I think the difference between it is negligible. But it's sort of important to have nonetheless, you know, for depending on your distance to the wall or whatever you want to achieve. So.
Yeah. Oh, if it ain't broke,
Um,
don't fix it. Like, it might be a point or two different damage. But why
Yeah.
why change years of muscle memory for a point or two more damage when you're probably going to have that frustration of dropping combos and trying to do it? Like, of the
more
process of
specifically, more specifically because you don't get the opportunity to address. Usually, when I am playing, I end up playing in a context where I'm doing a stream, or I'm doing a tournament, or I'm doing a set.
Yep.
I don't get as much opportunity to, you know, mess around, which is a shame. But yeah, we're just talking about the comments. I'd say there's something that I really like doing, which is kind of related to combos, but it's sort of like, all right, so when you finish someone off at the wall, when you finish your wall combo or whatever,
Yeah.
or you spike them at the wall, you do 3 full spins of forward 3, right? You hit them with
Yep.
the unblockable, and then because of the way it comes off on that angle, it splats them on a weird angle, and then you can sort of sidestep. Oh, because I'm usually on player 2 side, you sidestep into the screen, so
Yep.
left, obviously. And then you can sort of pick up with 4 forward, 2 3, or 1 plus 4, dependent on where it is. And you get another whole combo because you've sort of changed the axis and you can keep going.
Yep. So is it?
So,
I guess because she kind of twirls to that direction. I'm guessing, like, depending on how they time, a lot of get up kicks will whiff too. So it could be
with
quite threatening.
forward 3,
Yep.
usually in that situation, people are deers in headlights.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. Being a deer in
Like
a headlight myself.
who does the full 3 spins, right? Who does
Yeah.
that? And that's where but I suppose that's both the positive and negative of my play style. I'm gambling on my opponent to mess it up, not do the correct thing because it's unexpected.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's Asuka's an evasive character, but it's also a form of rushdown of you're trying to fluster your opponent.
Yeah, if they got the back of the wall, they think, oh mate, this guy's not going to do anything stupid because if he does, I'm going to punish the hell out of him. Or this guy's should be patient or whatever. Or if people think I'm going to do KYS, I'm like, I'm just going to do the exact opposite thing that you think I'm going to do, and then lo and behold, it works.
Yep. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, we've gone through your favourite moves. We've gone through a couple of combos and a reset combo, which is pretty awesome. Do you think Asuka has any useless moves, or what do you think is her most irrelevant move?
Believe it or not, I'm going to answer up forward 4.
Yeah, I can understand that. I mean,
It's not safe.
well,
it's,
her and Bob both just have slow hop kicks.
It's hella slow and it's unsafe. It's not like, how do I say this? Like I would say forward 2 is safer than this move.
Yeah.
Hear me out.
No, I get you.
Because when people, when a forward 2 is thrown out, it's usually done in a way that the opponent is not ready to punish it. Like, I'm sure you've had experience with not properly punishing forward 2 on block, right?
Many
Thank
experiences. It's
Whereas,
a move that doesn't have too much block stun. So even though it's minus, you have to react quickly.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like it feels like it's not that punishable at all as well. Yeah, you have to be switched on. You have to be looking for it. So I can take advantage of that. Whereas do up forward 4, I mean, like, I'm pretty sure you can go to sleep in the middle of all of that, you know what I mean?
Plenty of time to react and punish.
I'm sure it has its place. I mean, it crashes and all that, but I think I haven't looked into the move enough. Like, for example, where the active frames start, where the crush frames start, all that kind of stuff. But I just haven't used it, and I've kept it out of my arsenal of moves. And I'm saying I use moves like up back 2 more than I'd use up forward 4.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
It has a very unique place, that move.
Yeah, I think, you get people off axis and then you can do a bit of damage if you hit them with a counter hit up back 2 as well, so.
Yeah. Can get some nasty things on a back-turned opponent because it's +9. Just FYI.
350-50.
Free 15 frame.
Wait, sorry, you said it was +9?
Yeah, on a back-turned opponent, free 15 frame. Fact.
Sorry, I'm not quite following. It's plus. Oh, back turn. Sorry.
Yep.
I knew that.
So obviously they can crouch and they don't get launched there. So you're right. There's
Yeah.
a 50-50 involved. If that were a frame faster, you'd get a free launch.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's not Asuka specific. Just talking about that move.
Exactly. I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's something that I obviously haven't looked into that deep at all.
No, it's super situational, so there's not really much point.
Mm.
But yeah, I totally agree. Up forward 4, it's not really necessary.
Uncomfortable.
You've got other moves that meet its purpose better.
Yeah.
Okay. I know you've already talked about that situation at the wall and getting the unblockable to resplat, but do you have any setups or situations that you think works better against people than you think it should? Anything you do that you think this should not hit them, but it does. It does too much.
So this is what I did against Jin once, and I did it over and over again until I actually told him what it was, and then he went and spilled the beans. For those people that might know what I'm talking about by spill the beans, he told a secret. So if you do a standard combo, let's say a standard back three combo, back 3-4-3, and then 2-1, 1+2.
Oops. Yeah. Oh my god. Like that.
And at this point, you do 4-4-1 to hit them. Like you're doing the. I was doing this in Forbidden. Forbidden. I forgot the name of it.
Floor break stage.
That's it.
Floor break stage.
Forbidden Realm.
Yeah. Forbidden Temple. Forgotten Realm and Forbidden Temple.
Forgotten Realm. Forgotten Realm. Sorry.
One or the other. I don't know.
It's that one where it's not this stage. You're gonna have to break 5 floors to play the to play the proper game. But no. Yeah, cut that out. So obviously, after you spike them, you do a shallow dash with the forward 1, so that the forward 1 misses.
Okay.
And then they tick roll.
Like that?
Yeah. No,
shallow
dash. Shallow dash. Yeah. So really fast.
Yep. Okay. So
you gotta miss time it so it doesn't hit as well.
Oh.
So.
Too fast. Oh my god.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. And
Come on, Brian.
I think it works even better.
Like that?
Similar to that. And what they'll do is they'll tick roll and they think they've got, time to hit you, and then you just do a back 3.
Yep.
And my god, they just don't know what the hell is going on. They think it looks like you've sort of dropped it accidentally. You know what I mean? It's really, really sort of subtle in the way it works. So if I ever go overseas to a tournament, they don't know this stuff. Whew, I'm gonna get ahead a few games that I probably shouldn't with that.
I can guarantee that kind of thing is going to hit me, because if I see a move whiff, I press a button. I'm like, my turn.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not a real setup. You're just luring your opponent into a false sense of security, and then hello. Yeah, so it's more smoke and mirrors than a setup.
That's important though, because I mean, a lot of setups people just know through and through. They lab and they're like, oh, this is what the opponent's going to do in this situation. If you have some kind of like you said, lead them into a false sense of security, that's when you frustrate them and you win the mental mind game.
Exactly, and I think this again falls into my whole pattern of gambling on the opponent to mess up.
Yeah. All right. So I realised that the community section is probably going to be quite long with you, so I thought we might do things in a bit of a different order. So do you mind if I just ask you a couple of questions now?
Yeah, absolutely.
This is our quickfire trivia. With your main, so with Asuka, can you please list one move you'd like to buff and one move you'd like to nerf?
It goes without saying. Her one jab needs to be. Yeah, I would buff that in some. There has to be some way that it's got to be buffed.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Perhaps I would say doing maybe I'm asking too much. Maybe if you nerf the damage of it, but as a 10 frame Punisher, maybe 1-2-4 could be NC.
Yeah, that's a huge punish, but I mean they could make it work somehow with less damage.
If they made it less damage.
Yeah.
I think it would be fairer because it's like most of her moves that are NCC guarantee the next move after it in these strings, right?
Hmm.
So, um, one by itself with its follow-ups is sort of, well, if you do a low, you risk eating a low parry, right?
Yeah.
If you do the mid, there's enough time for a character to throw in some sort of punch parry, and that is painful to eat. So the 50-50 actually works against you if you use Asuka's 50-50 off the string.
Yeah. That second move is really slow. You're right. I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Except for that,
it's
you
kind
got
of
that one, I guess. Oh, it's the same speed. Oh wow, I didn't realize that.
yeah. So I think her one jab as a punish by itself still kind of handy. I mean, what are you, +8 if I'm not mistaken?
Looks like +9. +9 on
+9.
hit.
+9, yeah.
And
So then
-2 on block.
Ironically,
Really?
when you're on +9, you got a free 50-50, which is exactly what her follow-up move is anyways.
But I mean, her
Totally
jab on block is -2, and most jabs on block are +1.
Mhm.
So that's pretty bad. So it's bad as a punish tool because I don't. Well,
You don't get much damage.
no, you
that's
don't
right.
get much damage. You don't get much at all, do you? And I guess
So it's
at
like,
higher levels, people
take your one jab and yeah.
people are more likely just to throw out like lower risk options a lot of the time.
I mean, if you're
Especially
going to
against
punish a
Asuka.
10 frame, you might as well just do down back 3 or something to mix your opponent up.
Yep.
Make them think about doing a 10 frame against you again, but you usually end up losing those kind of mind games anyways.
Yep. What if just 1-2 was a natural combo?
How much damage does that do? I can't
That's
see.
18 damage on counter hit. So that's 18.
That'd be fairer, definitely fairer.
It'd be 17 damage.
There's only one follow-up after that before anyways, so...
But they could bring
Yeah,
the damage down and make the whole thing a natural. I see what you're saying there, because if the damage were lower, it's not like she'd be unique in having a 3-hit string that's I-10 and knocks down.
Yeah.
I mean, look at
Yeah,
Missionaries. Okay, fair enough. What
Or
about
maybe
a
they
move to
could make
nerf?
it only in the interests of rounding her out, right? Only in the interests of rounding her out. And I would say back 4.
Yep, I can agree with that.
So 15 frame counter hit launcher with certain tracking properties, okay?
Yep.
I just think it's a little bit more powerful than it seems. And then, it's got 2 mental frame follow-ups, if you know what I'm saying. You've got 2 moves that can come out after that. It's just, that move is bullshit.
Yep.
And they complain about back 3, mate. Back 4. Safe counter hit launcher, start of string with tracking properties.
Yeah.
Man, my character's disgusting. Why don't people use it?
It's really really hard to step, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and even then,
I'm not delaying it there either.
there you go.
That's inconsistent. It's just like slight axis difference
Yeah, exactly.
every second time it's hitting. Fun. Yeah, okay, I can appreciate that. Maybe if they made it so that was a bit more consistent to step. Or what kind of nerf would you like for it?
I think that would be good. You know what I mean? Let's Steve down forward to it. I reckon. Let's do that.
Yep.
Take out the tracking properties of it.
Yeah.
And it's so much more fairer. And it
Dead character.
uses.
Sorry.
It's no, I disagree with that. I don't think it's dead at all.
No, don't worry.
Okay, you just mean me. Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha. Oh my god. So yeah, I think that's a
Yep. Good answer. I like
pretty
it.
well-rounded answer here.
So buff 1 and nerf back 4. I think that's a good option. Very good
I
for
just
rounding
wanna
up the
say,
character.
putting it exactly. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Name one character that you think should be added to Tekken 7 and one that should be removed.
So many people say Kuryu Kazama. There's too much
Yakuza?
Yakuza in Tekken. But I would say look, we're getting Final Fantasy characters in Tekken. Put Tifa in. Put Tifa in
Tifa?
because Tifa Lockhart,
Yep.
100%.
There are some good mods for that. But I know she's
I
not
know
genuinely in the game. She
but
doesn't have her own moveset or anything. Yes.
I want it with her moveset. You know what I mean? I want to see some dolphin kicks. You know what I mean? I want to see some
Yep.
you
Yep.
know, some real rush down kind of bang.
Very good. I'm
kind of
surprised they didn't, especially with FF7 Remake coming out. Like, she would have been the perfect character for them to introduce in a promotional sense.
Well, they got Noctis in already, so it's almost as if the deal's been done. We're not going any further, and
Yep.
I think if anything, if you had to remove a character, sorry, Noctis fans.
Yep. Well, that
just,
comes back to your
yeah.
idea of making it well-rounded. Remove an FF7 character to add an FF... Sorry, remove an FF15 character to add an FF7 character.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity,
Yes.
are there any characters, intellectual property of Tekken, that you'd want removed, or consider removing or adding?
That's too hard to answer.
Fair enough.
It's too hard to answer. Not because I want to offend or afraid of offending anyone. Look, I will say the first thing that comes to mind, and only because of the idea of it. The only 2D character that's sort of tech Bandai Namco is Elisa, right?
Yeah.
Akuma and Geese, they're from other fighters. They don't belong, right? So
Yes.
Elisa is a cool character, but if everyone's complaining that 2D ruins Tekken, etc., it's not the same character, and that's sort of, it's not the same game, and it's kind of like, well, I'd also argue that they did 2D very, very well bringing it into the game because it could have been a lot worse, and
Oh, yeah.
I think they made it work despite the imbalances that it brings. But on that note, in keeping Tekken traditional in the way it is, then just remove Elisa. Elisa, however you pronounce it.
Yep. No, fair enough. Fair enough. Good justification. All right, on to the next question. What do you think is the best stage in Tekken, and what do you think is the best music in Tekken? In the whole series, so not just Tekken 7.
So, the first thing that comes to mind with the music, Jinpachi stage Tekken 5.
Nice. Yep. Yep.
You know, it's got that sort of severity to it, like, and it's kind of like, I don't know, that EDM kind of stuff that we all love about Tekken. It's how can I go on about it? It's just feels important and kind of intense.
Yeah.
But passive at the same time. Passively intense. There's an oxymoron for you.
Passively intense. I like it.
Passively intense, but I'd say for stage, you can't go past Moonlight Wilderness.
Yes.
Tekken 5.
Beautiful.
Tekken 5,
Beautiful
yeah.
stage. I love
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah,
Yep.
I don't think I need to say any more on that. I think it just
No, everyone agrees. It's pretty unanimous. Moonlit Wilderness is a beautiful stage. So good choice. Good choice with the stage and the music. Very good. Okay, and the last question I'm going to ask in this section is, what would you like to see happening? Well, what would you like to see happen to the story for Asuka moving forward?
See, here's the thing, like, I'm not too invested in Asuka's story at all.
She
if that
got
makes
she
sense.
got
It's like,
severely sidelined straight after she was introduced into the series.
I mean, the most excitement that you get was the interaction that she has with her distant cousin, which was a bit of a laugh in Tekken 5, but I don't know what she's doing, bopping gangsters, getting in the fights with Feng and all that kind of stuff or whatever. I just the rivalry with Lily, it's just not
It's I hate to say it's not too interesting, is it?
it's not deep. So, but
No.
you know what? If I'm going to answer that question, what do I want to see happen to my character in the story? Anybody seen JB Styles' Devil Asuka? Yeah, let's
Devil
get
Asuka.
dark with Asuka. Yeah, that's what I want to see. I want to see
Not Devil Asuka.
some edgy anime riot of the blood kind of angry Asuka. I mean, angry not in a tomboy bully kind of way. I mean, in a I've lost the plot and I've got really cool sick moves and stuff like that. Why not?
Yeah.
Let's do that. Let's do that. That's cheesy as, but whatever.
Well, hey, to be honest, it's a fighting game storyline, and no shade intended, but anything can happen. I mean, I know it wasn't canon, but we've seen
You're
Devil
not wrong.
Ganryu, so
Yeah.
if Devil Ganryu is possible, and I mean, he's actually in a game technically. He's in the Tekken Tag Tournament 1 Turbo thing.
I didn't realize actually. Devil
Then
can
there's no
Devil
reason
Gunnery.
why Devil Asuka couldn't become a reality.
Why not? Why
And to be
not?
honest, yeah, like, there's much more relevance to it happening to Asuka, considering she has some kind of familial tie, even if it's from the Kazama side. I mean, the
Well,
one,
because I was associated with unknown.
yeah, that's true, that's true.
I
Um,
mean, they could make it any way they want. I mean, like in the next episode, they could somehow tie in Angel being related to Lars or something.
yeah, they really could, and
They could be an angel form of Lars or something, and he could get electrics from it or something like that. Or, I don't
yeah,
know. You can make up all sorts of stuff. It's a fairy tale.
yep, that's it. Good way to put it. It's a fairy tale with the Tooth Fairy.
That's it. Yeah, a fun one with lots of stuff going on.
Yep, fantastic. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is, as I said before, probably the longest part when talking to you is going to be about your community. So the first thing I need to
Mm.
ask is, how does your community function? Can you tell me a little bit about the Melbourne fighting game
Wow,
community? Or Tekken community? Depends how
Tekken
broad you want to
community.
be.
Um, ooh, where to start? I mean, there's almost like so many branches of it. Um, and I've played a role in seeing it develop into what it is. Um, like currently at the moment, there's quite a few events going on. I got G Corp in Geelong. You've got Pixel on Wednesday nights.
That would be the closest to
Uh,
me.
you got Brofist doing their events now as well. They're doing one in on the first Friday of the month in Kensington Town Hall, and GG Easy Bar on the fourth Sunday of the month. You've got the Staples, which is CCH, on the second and fourth Saturday of every month. Um, what have I missed? Me. I run DHT, Delirious is House of Tech,
Yep.
and I've been doing that for 2 years as well. I've currently been on hiatus. I'm coming back with a big bang at the time of recording. I am having a big celebration to celebrate the 2 years point in a couple of days' time. So, uh, pretty familiar with all this kind of stuff by now. Um,
People can
the
check
way
out the video of
and of
that if they
course,
look for, your different media platforms as well, can't they?
yeah, yep. Well, comment, and subscribe. You know how it is. But
Exactly.
yeah, do check it out if you're in Melbourne or the OC region. You know, there's so much going on in Melbourne. You won't regret looking up the scene. It's a pretty wholesome scene. I forgot to mention Couch Warriors, of course, run the Randbats as well on the third Saturday as well
Yes.
of the month, and that's sort of like the official uh, like the serious one. You know what I mean?
Yep. Well, I mean, it's
Um,
Ranbats. It's surprising a lot of people don't realize that Ranbat stands for ranking battles. So it's how
yeah, I
you
know,
establish
right?
rank.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But with regards to how everything came to be, it's like everyone sort of just, if somebody in the community wants to sort of do something, they can just do it. You know what I mean? They just
Yeah.
step up and do it. Um, People do their own things. People sort of work with each other. probably something I haven't noted as well because it's not currently running is Doncaster fights as well. That was a
Yes,
staple pre-COVID. I think COVID's
DF1.
very important. Yeah, DF1. Yeah, that was actual genius the way he put it together.
Yeah.
Poultry and Eerie did some stuff with the Monash gaming as well. Mega, I think they're called. So there's it's like constantly ongoing. If you want to step up and do something, you can. And this is where we get into a bit of theory of how everything sort of came together. So we were kind of at the time, a couple of years ago, inspired by the way Battlecat Bunker in Sydney had come together.
Mm.
It was a perfect storm for Sydney. They had some amazing players, amazing talents all come together at a central location, like a Tekken HQ, where they could, collaborate, share their ideas, and they just grew really, really strong because of that.
Yes, I remember in particular a select few players from Sydney came down and just really did a terrifying
They sent us
job
a message.
at
Yes.
sending us a message, kicking our asses. And
There is nothing wrong with that, by all means. It would get really boring if Melbourne was always dominating. For how many years before that, anyway, as well? Sorry, Sydney. What up? No, it's all right. Just for the record, Melbourne, Sydney, tight. We're tight.
Yeah.
I can't even cross my fingers. There we go.
It's one of those friendly rivalries that we sort of push each other. Like, I think anyone I've met in Sydney, they'll talk in sort of a competitive way, but then if you ask for assistance in anything, they're more than happy to help you in any way. All wonderful, lovely people.
They're very hospitable, very hospitable. But yeah, and also at the end of the day, we're all OCE, so our rivals are actually our training partners. You know what I mean, in the grand scheme of things. But I'll get to that. So, well, you just wait till you see where I'm taking this. So where was I? When I started my thing because basically people were coming to my house because I'm lucky to be a homeowner, and because my wife, she was kind of like, you can't keep doing this over and over. So I kind of made it into a way that would sort of benefit her. So I said, okay, I'll charge entry and then the guys can come and play. And then we kept doing it and it kept working, and then it became my thing. So, because I live in the outskirts, right? The outskirts of Melbourne, far north. It's not convenient for everyone to come down. I mean, like, for instance, how long would it take you to come down here? Like, at least a 2-hour drive, right?
Probably about a 2-hour drive, yeah, depending on
And that's
traffic.
with toll roads as well,
Yeah.
right?
I have to take toll roads. It would be much longer if I didn't take toll roads. I essentially have to go right through the city. Like, it's an hour and a bit to get to the city, and then it's however long it takes to get from the city
Another
to your
45
house.
at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's obviously not ideal for all of Melbourne, and there was sort of like a want for a central Tekken HQ. But what I found was, as I kept doing what I'm doing, that was not the solution that we actually needed. And I sent out the first survey. I don't think a survey's ever been done for Melbourne Tekken before, and I learnt about all the information that I needed to know where offline should be set up. And whereas many people would say city as a default answer, it's not quite the correct answer that they want to say, because the majority of people actually wanted an offline that was close to them.
I'd be the same. I know when I completed the survey, I think I said city, but I was thinking of it out of convenience for everyone, not just myself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what I also noted was that people wanted to play at all different times throughout the week. And And what I basically did was with other people that were, working on their own offlines, Rainbow Drop in G Corp, Poultry. Poultry came and saw my thing and he went and did DF1, which was amazing.
Yeah, really cool.
Um, we ended up having this sort of like a unofficial network of offlines happening around the city, around the week, if that makes sense. So that means for the people that wanted to make it out to their offlines, but wanted it to be close, there was always a way that they could get to one close. And because I had the survey, I sort of tried to cater for those times for their availability. And at the same time, people who just wanted to play Tekken round the clock could do so. They just got to go around Melbourne, that's all. And they did. They did.
Yep.
We had some of our players come up to 5 times a week out.
Wow.
There were times we were running 6 events in a week. It was amazing. This was pre-COVID.
Yeah.
And it worked. And what had happened was as well, this has gone from a hobby business to a business for me. So I had saved all the little monies I was collecting with all the initial DHT sessions, and I went and splurged on 3 PS4s, 3 copies of Tekken, 3 monitors, and it was like all of a sudden, wow, okay, the game's different now. I had some people, that run other events come in, they just pick up the console like, hey, we could use these. So like, I knew I did good then.
Yeah.
But what it allowed me to do as well, having my own set of consoles, which a lot of other people did as well soon afterwards, was that I could just take them with me. I can just pack them, take them, unpack them, and we're good to go. So like, we had a real mobile sort of Tekken scene that was good to happen anytime. And like CCH, for instance, when it was at the senior center instead of the Collingwood Library, it had a lot more space.
Okay, yeah.
There were a few sessions that we literally raided the place, and it's like all of a big chunk of Melbourne Tekken came out to it, and it was just really, really feel good. And actually, we celebrated Chipsy's birthday at one, and I brought out a cake, and he loved it.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So look, from then COVID hit, of course, and as things sort of, especially being in Melbourne, because we copped stage 4 restrictions and all of that, we couldn't do this anymore. At least as far as Melbourne was concerned, we had to survive online during those times. And at all times, I was just like really making sure that I was ready to go when things came back. But in the meantime as well, I was doing my best to support the scene however I could.
And you did do a lot. I mean, you were doing a lot the whole time, but you were working very hard to find options, weren't you, during COVID?
That was definitely one thing. As soon as it had been announced that we could have offlines again, or rather, well, hang on, they had to be decoded from the statements that the government was making. I changed the business from a hobby business to a proper Australian business. I set up the house as a community venue, legitimately. I scrambled to make a COVID-safe plan. If anyone needs help with that, let me know, by the way. I can help you with that. I know it pretty well now. There's 6 categories that you have to address. I was literally taping down lines on the floor in my house, you know what I mean? But by the time we came back, I was really invested in DHT because all of this is like, it's become my passion, you know what I mean? I had about 10 consoles and 20 monitors. That's how much I've got at the moment.
Wow.
So
I
when
didn't realize
people
you had so
came
many.
back, I was prepared. And I've got a couple of streaming setups now as well. I have Chand Naveed. He
Yeah,
comes over quite regularly to stream from here. It's easy to access, you know what I mean? I'm blessed I have internet right next to the node. So I've got like a ping of 7,
nice.
which is great. Um, so I've got a lot of resources that we can use, and it's constantly, look, I'm not gonna lie. You see, this is a nice little, cover, so you don't know what's going on. I am literally working on a new reception desk again, right here. Just like there is like melamine MDF here. There's a ladder. There's just crap everywhere. It's all hidden. Just getting ready for everything. So, um, where am I going with all of this? This is getting better and better, and I'm really into it, I suppose.
Yeah. I think
Um,
a thing to point
yeah.
out as well, because you mentioned how you got the setups and it became a portable thing, is a number of the weekly events you mentioned in the network are things that
Mm.
you really helped strengthen and helped like build up and allow them to actually maintain. Like you would travel all around, well, Victoria really, providing your setups and providing your support, taking people to that wanted to go to the events, and you were even paying entry for a lot of people and doing a lot
You
just to
coming
make
at
sure
me like that?
you were doing a lot to just make sure that these events, these communities
Mm.
could help grow and become their own. And a lot of them really have established now. And I mean, a lot of that you have to take, you have to get some credit for that, definitely. I remember when I went to DHT the first time, you had something about the first 10 people that would come will get free entry, and
That was
something
that
like
was
that.
at DF1 actually. That
Oh,
was at
sorry,
DF1.
DF1. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, yeah.
DHT, you just provided free food and everything the time I came. So
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling a bit bashful at the moment. Um I'm kind of like stunned. I don't want to boast this kind of stuff, you know what I mean?
well, that's what I'm here to say. Okay, well, we'll move on then. We'll go on to the next part.
But yeah, look, just maybe to address that properly, I'm just I think what you're saying is just a reflection of my passion. I've found a lot in the community worth sort of fighting for, worth sort of standing up for. So yeah, I'm a big advocate of us.
Yeah, you're definitely passionate about keeping it strong and helping it grow, and encouraging everyone to do their own thing, to start their own communities, start their own
Yes,
events.
that was actually something that I was going to get onto. Poultry released a video about there's this kind of idea about a micro offline. All you need to start an offline is like your friend and your sister and whatever. You're good. That's a base.
That video
And
went viral on Twitter, I believe. So most people that are watching this, if you're following anything fighting game related, you've probably seen it.
yeah, and boy, does Poultry have some ideas. He's sort of like, I'm confident that whatever I have may added to what's already here, he will take it even further. So keep your eyes on him.
Very good.
Um, but yeah, just remember, peeps, even if you don't have an offline, wherever you are in the world, grab your friend, your sister, whatever, sit in front of a TV, your computer, whatever you got, start playing, invite anyone to come over. You already got your own offline. Just do it. Cheers.
Good stuff. Uh, we've kind of already talked about how the community was in the past. Could you give me just
Mm,
maybe
a brave one.
a brief explanation of how things may have changed since when you first joined the Tekken community?
Mm,
Because I mean, back then it was just at the arcade scene, of course, compared to now where it's
yeah.
multiple venues and it's all console and PC, and it's very different now.
There are many. I think with each game on in the arcades, even with each iteration of Tekken, the scene has changed, and I suppose I would describe it as coming from rough around the edges to more wholesome, chill vibe. You know what I mean? Like, back in the Tag 2 days when I joined, everybody was still pretty friendly. It was sort of like we'd, we'd play our games and whatever, but then we'd also sort of hang out the front of the arcade and have a chat and, stay back late and maybe get a drink and whatever. Kind of like,
Yeah.
it was probably the most social arcade experience I had in all the years I had. And then before that, I may have tried to play Tekken 5. Excuse me. And ages ago, I don't know, there was some kind of threatening behavior which was not on, but it just was what it was back then. And now, looking at what it's now, it's like everybody is sort of like aware. You know what I mean? Everyone has an awareness of how to treat everyone. I think majority of people will stand up in situations against where somebody's doing the wrong thing, try to correct it, try to neutralize it, that kind of thing.
It's really important. Really important.
And I think that's why the Tekken scene is the best it's ever been, because everyone's more community minded, everyone's more empathetic, I suppose, as opposed to sort of having a culture where everyone just meets up, put their dollars in, and you might not even know the guy that you just played ever again, but as soon as you meet a guy now in the offline scene, you're gonna know him for a long time.
It's a lot of people are still very intimidated about going to offlines. Like they I hear many people say, they're too nervous to enter tournament because they're not good enough, or they've heard of these onlines but they don't want to go because they don't know anyone, and they'll probably just stand there and do nothing the whole time, and things like that. And I mean, the interesting thing is most of the people I've talked to about this are also people who I've talked to at offline events who have been saying, "Oh, but I'm having a fantastic time." Like, "Oh, I was so
Exactly,
scared
yeah.
of coming, but I'm loving it now that I'm here." So I
That is
absolutely
something
agree.
that this is something as an organizer that I deal on a frequent basis. I was literally before doing this video with you, I was talking to someone about they were asking me about Pixel and how to get involved. What do I
Nice.
do? Do I just rock up? Do I just say, do I just rock up and watch, or do I have to do anything to come and join the offlines? And I just gave him a big bucket of encouragement, like.
Good.
And I do that for anyone watching, especially if you're in the Melbourne or the OCE scene. If you have any reservations about rocking up to an offline, um, if you can get yourself to get over that hurdle, you will not regret it. I don't think I know too many people at all that have regretted it. Everyone who comes in, it's like, all right, maybe I'm gonna go on a bit of how do you pronounce it? Hyperbole, whatever.
Hyperbole, yeah.
Hyperbole. I'm gonna exaggerate a bit and say you're gonna get sucked into the vortex and then you can't leave. You're a Tekken player for life. Congratulations.
Pretty much.
But no, people come into the scene and they just love it too much that they can't leave, even as your interest in Tekken sort of wanes and goes in and out, and it usually always comes back anyways, and that's actually a normal thing. You get fatigue from the game, but um, you can't leave because of the community. There's so many connections that you end up making. It's like,
You
man,
can't
this
get
is
out.
the yeah, but
Yeah.
it feels good. It feels good.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, and I think this reflects on some of the things that I may talk about later as well. Some of the things that Brofist themselves want to address. This kind of hobby, this interest, this social activity of offlines in something that we're really passionate is really good for people's morale, mental health, all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I think it's vital for a happy existence.
Yeah. Good. I like how talking about the differences, how the community's changed. You've talked about how it's sort of the mindset has changed and that people have become more
Mm.
empathetic. I really like that, and it's a positive direction, isn't it? So hopefully we keep going that way. Um, Speaking of like positivity and empathy, let's look in the other direction. Maybe, have you noticed any differences between the online and the offline community?
Um,
I'm joking,
well,
of course. We're pretty positive online, most people in Oceania.
yeah. It's contextual. It's contextual. But this is sort of all right. Look, this is the delirious viewpoint. Okay, we're not gonna sort of take it with a grain of salt, right? But I think everyone goes through a process when they first start at offline, coming from other games. Like, delirious is gonna rip on some other games. Did I say online or offline? Come from other online games. I'm gonna rip on some other games. I'm not gonna say their names. I'm not gonna say them. You're gonna catch me in doing anything here. But you get told to go and off yourself or something like that because you couldn't complete something in some game or something or other. I think it's
That's pretty
pretty
rough.
commonplace nowadays. And I discussed this in my course as well. There's this whole idea of uh, anonymity on the internet means you're happy to do terrible things because you can't empathize with who's on the other side because you don't even see them or hear them or whatever. You know what I mean? So you're happy to do the no-nos, but what ends up happening is you come and play Tekken and you start raging at your opponent, and then your opponent, who's already sort of settled in the community, oh, that's cool. All right, let me know when you calm down, kind of thing. Come join us. We'll have some games. It'll be fun. I'll teach you some stuff, and it ends up turning around, and then they end up becoming converts. And uh, after the end of each set that we play, people are like, "Oh yeah, GG's," unironically saying GG's, and it's like because you get to a point where you're playing Tekken not to release rage and frustration on someone, but you're actually interested in the game and you respect the cool things that your opponent can do.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So you compliment them, like or in my case, you get a different kind of compliment, but it's
I
did you just do
suppose.
back three into back three? That's real big brain. Like, yeah, that is big brain, mate. If you can't punish it, it's not punishable.
So it's
Um,
only unsafe if they punish it.
Thank you.
It's only
Exactly.
yeah, it's only an issue if they punish it. Um, yeah, I
Oh
mean
yeah.
those sort of things you said. Compliments can be a little bit different. That's of course contextual, so it depends. Like,
Mm.
you wouldn't want someone you don't know coming in and saying that kind of stuff to you.
To be
But
fair, I'm in on the joke though.
yeah, yeah.
So
As long
I
as
don't.
you're in on the joke, like you don't want it to be someone coming in and saying insulting things because you're doing something which they perceive to be wrong in a very open game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think one of my most favorite experiences was in season one, where someone. Okay, this is a little bit negative, but it didn't have a bad outcome or anything. But some guy said, uh, wow, this is after, I unga booging on it. Wow, your Oscar is amazing. You exclusively use moves that are only minus 17 to 23 on block. Um, I like, hey, do you mind if I cut and paste your reply about that and put it on the Australian Tekken community for people to see your thing? And no, I'll be good. It is
the
all right. He,
yeah.
he
The
continued.
anonymity is a bit of an issue sometimes. I've got two
Mm.
analogies that I think of in that regard. So one is I think of like road rage, because it's a similar thing. Like you could be raging at someone in a
Mm.
car until they get out of the car and you see it's someone that you know. You're like, oh, it's them. Oh, that's okay, right?
I need to think about the road like a Tekken from now on.
Yeah.
But
And
that's
then
a good analogy.
the other one I've heard is about the boss, the final boss. So I've told a few people this, and I didn't come up with it. I read it somewhere
Okay.
else. I think it might have been on Reddit or Twitter or somewhere online anyway. But
Mm.
you verse someone online, you get frustrated. You're like, okay, let's say with Asuka, they're just using back three and they're beating me. That's so dumb. Blah blah blah. They're just something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
think about, okay. Let's go back to Tekken 5 because Jinpachi was an annoying boss. Let's say you go up to
Mm.
Jinpachi and you're versing him and you're struggling against him, but you find out that he always gets hit by back three. You'll think, okay, this is the boss, my goal is to defeat it, I know this works. So you'll use that. It's the same
Exactly.
thing. So you
Whatever
just
works.
need to have the mindset that when you're versing someone online, their goal is to have fun, but their goal is to also to win. And often winning,
Exactly. Yeah.
satisfaction comes from winning. And to them, you're their final boss. And in the real
Mm.
world, you're even harder than that Tekken 5 final boss Jinpachi.
100%.
So they need to find whatever they can do that will make them win.
Mm.
So it's
This
not
is
about them being
interesting.
champions. Sorry.
Sorry, this is interesting what you said about this kind of stuff because this raises. I think I was talking about earlier about the idea of how the game extends outside of the actual game itself. It goes into the space around it
Mm.
and like for instance, where do you draw the line on how far you have to go to win? Like, for instance, this is a classic Sydney technique, and it's not a bad one, but it's actually a good one. It's actually quite smart. Like, they don't just shit talk you. They talk to you in a way that cracks you up. They crack you up to distract you, and it's absolute genius. And I'm not even mad because I'm having a great time, right?
Yeah. Well,
So that's maybe an acceptable form of using everything you can go. What about maybe making your opponent as salty as you possibly can, poking at them, but then if it's starting to do actual, harm as opposed to, I mean, like,
mm,
how far can you go? Like, I suppose it gets to a point where you start pulling the plug, start cheating. You can do that technically. It's if you can do it, then is you know what I'm trying to say?
is that right?
So
I mean, if I'm
is
saying
it?
they do whatever they can to win, you're right. Then is cheating allowed?
Mm.
Because I mean,
It's
I
like
would
where
say
you draw
no,
the
but
line.
you're right.
Mm.
That's a tricky one. Tekken is a game of psychological warfare, and you're right.
Mm.
Some people may take it, or I don't know. It may have a greater impact on them than others. Some people they can brush it off
Exactly.
easily. Other people, it feels like life or death.
So I would probably, given a chance to anyone who's viewing this, I would ask to gauge how far you should go with this kind of stuff because some people can just be vulnerable to this kind of thing and going that far for a game is well, ask yourself, is it right? Are you a moral person by going too far? You know what I'm saying. But
Yeah.
I'd also ask as well at the same time, and I had that delirious moment. So I don't know if you know this, Nick, but I am 100% known for having sudden blanks in conversation.
Oh, I have
Uh,
those. Don't worry. That's fine.
um, yeah, where was I? Something about doing the naughties against your opponent. Yeah, I'd say if your opponent seems to be getting affected too much, or your opponent asks you to stop, just stop. You know what I mean? Like, I suppose it's contextual as well. I mean, like, if you know your opponent's going to get affected by key charging in a way that's beyond minor irritation in the game, is it right to do it anymore? You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
At the same time, though, if you key charge me, I'll be like, oh, this guy, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Contextual.
You've got to use it to shift their focus to help you with the game,
Mm.
but you don't want to destroy their
But
mindset completely. You don't want to
exactly,
ruin their
and
day.
this is the problem because if your opponent's not having fun in a game that's relatively niche, guess what you're gonna do? Have less people to play with at the end of the day.
Yep.
Good one, buddy. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think I think that's one of the most important reasons to advocate for good behavior in the community is so that our community can grow, so we can enjoy our game with more people, not just just piss everyone off until there's no one left, and then you've got the computer to play against. That's not.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay, so let's move on. So the next thing I want to ask is, do you have any rivalries or teammates in the community? So DHT,
Yeah,
delirious. Do you have any
Yep.
rivals or teammates?
Over the years, I have had so many rivals and so many teammates. Go back to the start, back in 1912, you know. Um, when I first came into Tekken, I joined the Infamous clan. I didn't know what Infamous meant until 2020, and now I'm kind of like, oh, that explains a lot. I literally thought Infamous meant famous. It actually means notorious.
Yep, that all makes
Cool.
sense.
That's a bit of a laugh. But yeah, that was my arcade clan. With the OGs and all that. We used to take a bit of pride in that. We had a bit of a brotherhood thing going on. We had our own rivalries within our clan. Um, I suppose everyone is a rival in that one.
Fair enough.
And many people are rivals in all sorts of ways. Like anybody that can play close to your level is a rival, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I would say who's my current rival at the moment? It's hard to sort of pinpoint who the right person for that is. Would I say Cotton? I don't know. Cotton's quite a bit ahead of me. Would I say Deception? Again, I'm not sure if it hits the nail right on the head, but I have had a sort of quite a bit of a rivalry with Deception. And yet, Deception is a part of our tag now, DHT as well. So,
There's a teammate and a
um,
rival, but yeah, you're like you said,
yeah,
pretty much anyone who's a
there's
teammate is also a rival in a game like this.
exactly. And it's like then you've got Sydney Melbourne rivalry, Melbourne Brisbane, Melbourne everyone in New Zealand,
Yeah,
and then you've got you know all of OCE versus the world.
yeah,
There's a rivalry right there. You're always rooting for your guy, right? So
very true, very true.
where the line is blurred on that one, but my teammates, same answer. So it starts with who's wearing the DHT flag, who's a part of Melbourne Tekken, Melbourne Tekken, I mean Victoria Tekken, who's a part of OCE Tekken, in that order.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And there's quite a few people waving that DHT flag these days as well, isn't there?
Yeah, basically I'm going full esports now, and I've got a team with a backing of. No, I'm just kidding. Uh, people who wear.
Uniforms coming soon.
Don't laugh. It's gonna happen. They keep telling me about it. They keep asking me to do it. I'm like saying, "Have you got the money to outlay for such a thing?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll put down $100, man." I'm like, okay. What do we get for $100? Sorry, a bit of a detour there. People who wear the DHT tag basically reflect the values that we embody: wholesomeness, inclusiveness. Just sort of have a good time kind of thing. It's not really one about competition. It's more of a standpoint of just progression and making things better.
Very good. That's I don't know if the word brief is quite correct, but that's a nice brief summary of
Yeah,
the
right.
community.
How often does that happen? Yeah, yeah. So there's this blur here. Like, for instance, we've got family as well, right? So at the moment with Pixel, there's a bit of a rivalry there. DHT comes and invades that area, which is more so family territory, quote
Family
unquote.
territory.
Yes, yes, yes. Family is how would I explain it? Maybe people centered around Gunmo or something.
Yeah, it's around that
Um,
Discord server, definitely, and the
yeah,
Fast and the Furious references that were going on in there, I
the
believe.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I used the family tag when I entered OHN because
That's
so many
right.
people that were
Yeah,
coming from Melbourne were using it, and I was part of that Discord. I was aware of what was going on, so I'm like, all right, I'll join you guys, I'll do it. But I
yeah,
think
and
I think that's the only event I've done it with.
I think the reason why people put these tags on is to show what they're a part of. Even Groove, for instance, you know what I mean? Like
True, yeah.
Gamers Rise Up. Um, you wear that tag, you're trying to show that you're a part of that community, you know what I mean? So it's an identity thing as
Mm.
opposed to say uh wearing an UU tag, for instance, or something like that. You know what I mean? Then it's sort of like esports. I think that sums it up.
Yeah,
So
it's not a sponsor; it's a community. So it's
having
identifying. Yeah, not that UU and
having
stuff can't
said
be a
that,
community as well. Don't get me wrong.
yeah, of course, and it goes the other way as well because there are certain benefits to wearing the DHT tag, but I'm not going to reveal them here.
No, fair enough. That's for your own content. So this next part of the video is the segment where I really let you talk about anything that's important to you. So it doesn't necessarily have to be about Tekken or fighting games. It's just something key, a message that you'd like to convey. So is there anything that you'd like to say in this regard, Delirious?
Yeah, probably one thing that I'd advocate for, what I want people to be aware of, um, and we're going to go a little bit deep now. Okay, so like I know a lot of people sort of struggle with this. Everybody's sort of got their own story, right? Like, um, each household deals with a different problem. Um, it's not really well talked about. I think one thing that I'd probably want to highlight is mental health concerns, mental people living with mental illness. It's quite widespread. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You look up facts like just where do I start? Like one in three people will suffer from a mental health problem at some stage in their life, right? So it's widespread. You can't really dodge this kind of thing. You know what I mean? If it doesn't happen to you, it's going to happen to someone you care about.
Yeah.
Um, and
Yeah.
that's the kind of thing that we're sort of not just in the community, not just in our technical community, but society at large is sort of like coming to terms with fighting its own stigma, that kind of thing.
Mm.
Um, we're on the forefront of that kind of is that the correct way to say it? You know what I mean? Things are changing and it's kind of new. We're coming to terms with the idea of people dealing with mental health concerns.
Yeah. There's
So
much more acceptance these days and less of a stigma, right? I'd like to think
exactly.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, because once again it boils down to the idea that if you're not going to have it, then somebody will likely have it in some form or another. So for something like that, empathy is key. You know what I mean? Sympathy is
Mm.
key to making all our experiences, whether in life in general or in the fighting game community itself, to be a good one. We want to enjoy ourselves. We want to be happy people. So what I would probably advocate for, what I'd probably ask of people is when they see, and this happens quite a lot, like some people end up in situations where their behaviors may cause people to maybe ostracize them or exclude them or something like that. Maybe it could be disruptive behavior. Maybe it could be benign disruptive behavior. Um, in I'd ask that people try to neutralize it instead of demonize it, if that makes sense. I'd ask that as people become more mindful of these kind of things, to be active in trying to make a situation better for someone who might be in a situation where things could potentially get far worse. So, um, I've previously advocated for certain members in the community myself, to other people to make sure that they don't agitate those people. when their chips are down, so to speak. And I've seen some of these people come back into like they just what's the word? They flourish. They become super versions of themselves when they come back from these kind of times. They become integral members of the community that end up doing so much good for the community. And it could have all gone south if there was no sort of intervention.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and I think then there's other sort of cases where people are disruptive and it's not quite benign. And I think these people sort of they've got their own struggle with what they're going through. And I think on one hand, whereas we need to enforce a standard of behavior and deter behavior that can be harmful or disruptive to someone else, at the same time, there should be a way that where you push with one hand, you sort of pull with the other. If that's what I'm is maybe that's a bad analogy, but you punish with one hand and with the other you sort of give help. Does that make sense? There should be a
Yeah.
way to
So
redemption, for lack of a better word. So
yeah,
if
yeah, I get
somebody
you.
stops their behavior, then the community should be able to say, yes, we're ready for you to come back now that you're better, and we can overlook it and we'll sort of what, you still hold that person accountable for what they may have done, but not hold them accountable forever when things change, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Don't punish them for something that may not have necessarily been uh, in their complete control.
Our minds are ever evolving. Our circumstances are ever evolving. So because someone's done something considered wrong at some point, they shouldn't be penalised by that forever. Is that what you're saying? So redemption should be
Yeah,
allowed.
for that specific thing, that's exactly what I'm saying. Because if you're going to think of it in a all right, this is we're gonna get a little bit deep. I'll try to keep it brief, right? But think of it say we're in tribes, right? Keep it at basic level, okay? If you're going to sort of cast someone out of your tribe, what happens to that other person, right? He becomes the enemy, so to speak,
Hmm.
because he has to be, because he's defined that way. So he might find another tribe, join with them, and come back and, you know, fuck up your
Attack your
tribe, so
tribe.
to speak. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry for lack of a better word. Um, that's a versatile word, by the way. Um, so whereas if you can have a sort of way to sort of neutralize the problem, then you don't have a situation where you have to define someone as an enemy.
Hmm.
Does that make sense? I mean, unless you're gonna like kill him off and anybody else who cares about him, you know what I mean? Unless you completely eliminate your enemy from being able to come back, you know what I mean? Then if you do a half-assed job, it'll probably come back to bite you in the ass. So maybe I've taken this analogy a little bit too far from what it is, but um,
I think the
like
point
if
the point is that are you getting it that everybody has struggles and they may act out in a certain way, and like you said, we should
and
be
that's just at
guiding
the
and
time,
supporting
yeah.
and helping them opposed to just kicking them out.
Exactly, because if you define them as kick out, they'll go make their own FGC, and then things can change because people aren't inherently sort of uh, good or bad. People can do good things and people can do bad things, but if you're sort of defining that person as bad, then they're going to be your bad. Do you know what I mean? If you sort of advocate for peaceful connection, advocate for resolution, then you're bound to have a better outcome for everyone.
Yeah.
It's not just about them, even it's about so somebody's gone and done. I've got one particular one in mind, but I'm not going to mention who they are, and I sort of feel a bit. I have heartfelt sympathy for this particular case, but if somebody has behaved in a way that's not acceptable, I just feel that when they're able to control that behavior again, they shouldn't have it thrown back in their face to maybe even give that a chance of happening again. You know what I mean? So, and it's not just that, right? It's like, let's pause on that note.
I mean, I think something I'll bring up is just we, with these sort of things, often people are going through struggles and they're invisible, aren't they? So you can't always see what a person's going through. You don't know what's going through their mind. You don't know what they're
Mm,
experiencing. You don't know what's happening external to the current situation. And
exactly.
we, I mean, I work in healthcare. I see it a lot where people might act out in different ways as a way to
Mm,
express struggles in a different area.
exactly. And you part of, I think, empathizing or sympathizing is realizing that you cannot completely see the picture. You're only seeing it framed a certain way, right?
Hmm.
And then, if you're going to point the finger at somebody who has sort of malevolent behavior and it's really obvious compared to somebody who might be malevolent, but, in a subtle way and can sort of get away with it, then there's a certain hypocrisy in that in itself. But then we're going away from mental health concerns and into philosophy. So maybe we won't go down that track. So
But you definitely want to advocate for supporting people with mental health issues,
yeah,
from what I'm hearing, and yeah, it's just
yeah.
giving them
So
that welcome, well, that empathetic approach, like you said.
yeah, exactly. And for the most part, it's probably going to be a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, with this, with like the acceptance of mental health issues, with it being less of a stigma these days, hopefully we're continuing to work in the right direction.
Knock on wood. Yep. And we will continue, and I will continue.
Yeah,
I've been an advocate for that in doing what I do. So
wonderful. Okay, and now we're coming to a close. Thank you very much for joining me, Delirious. I really do appreciate it. Can you please
thanks, Family
tell
Tree.
everybody, thank you, can you please tell everybody where they can find more of you or more about DHT?
Yeah, so I think the main thing is the Facebook page. That's where it all started, facebook.com/. Del House. You can find me on Twitter. Again, at Del House is where it's at. I got a website going as well, deliriousharmony.com. And of course, check out my Twitch, twitch.tv/delirious18. Lots of adventures or maybe misadventures online and offline. And I cover a lot of offline content and a lot of things sort of going on as well as just playing the bloody game when I get a chance to.
Very good, very good. Now,
Yeah.
you did talk about how you did that first Tekken survey around Melbourne, or what we believe to be the first Tekken
Mm,
survey around Melbourne before. And I understand you've got a second one that you're doing right now, aren't you?
correct. Yeah. So I've extended the date for it to be done. Guys, get on it. Now is your chance to tell us. I can spread it to all the organizers what you need because if you do this, you can have a much and even not that it's not good enough already, but an even better offline scene. This is how you have your say. This is how you get what you want. Just do the survey. Your reward is a better experience. That's what you get. So just do it, guys.
If
It's you can find it on the pinned on the Facebook Del Tekken House webpage, Facebook page.
I'll also include it in the information about this video, and yeah,
Awesome,
I
thank
encourage
you.
anyone from Melbourne or Victoria to complete it, but perhaps not the international people. I appreciate you watching, but
Yeah,
It may not help the survey too much. All right. Well, once
Um,
again, thank you very much, Delirious.
thank you.
Before we finish up, is there any? Do you have any final words? Anything you'd like to
Yep.
say before we finish?
I have exactly one thing, and it's probably something that I'll always believe in, and I got it from a great man known as Fade.
Oh yeah.
It's basically be the best that you can be, and one love.
Very good. All right. Thank you very
Yep.
much for joining me. I've been a friendly
Thank
tree,
you so
and this has
much.
been the episode of DiaLOGue with Delirious. All right. Take
Thank
care.
you.